Well, it's been a while since my last proper video. Blame the lack of game news and releases, but as of last weekend, Overprime had its closed beta test. I didn't actually play very much, but that's not due to lack of time, it was because of a lack of will to play it, which sounds harsh, but I will get into the whys soon. This video should give you a pretty good insight into how I think it plays currently, as well as what I think it needs to work on. So how does Overprime play right now, and how does it feel? Well, if you played Paragon and remember the issues that the game had in Legacy, this game has those issues, as well as new ones it's created for itself. Firstly, the biggest red flags of the test is the map, travel mode, and time to kill. The fact that the time to kill is incredibly low early game, but for the most part you can't actually do anything with those kills to punish the enemy, it's pretty frustrating. That might sound like a contradicting statement, but if you remember Paragon and you remember how big the map was and travel mode, it's the exact same issue Overprime has. You can get 3 kills by 5 minutes, but the lane is so long and you are limited by the movement speed of the minion wave, you can barely scratch the tower before the people you just killed will be running back in travel mode. The death timers do get quite long to try and combat this, but honestly, it's so late in the game by that point, I just want the game to be over, win or lose. It's not fun to have 10 kills and 2 deaths and still be unable to win at 30 plus minutes purely because the map's too big, causing the objectives to be spread out. Another factor of the map being an issue is the inhibitors regenerate HP at a speed that makes it an actual chore to kill them without the Prime Guardian or a near full team and multiple minion waves. For those that don't know, the Prime Guardian is a special type of minion you can get for dunking the Overprime orb on the other side of the map. It's the equivalent of League's Baron and Herald mushed together in this game, but you have to do more work for it. All of what I've mentioned so far contributes to the games just taking way too long in contrast with the combat. Combat is over in barely a few seconds, but it takes until 20 to 30 minutes before you can really start to punish the deaths. And I will say before moving on to my next gripe that travel mode feels the same as Paragon. It feels like it's just a crutch added in because the map's too big. I don't really see what it adds to a MOBA at all. The second issue I noticed is that the heroes from the 4 that I tried, Kwang, Shinbi, Feng Mao and Bellica, is that they all felt a little clunky to use. Not terribly so, but like the abilities were slightly delayed and the auto attacks felt disconnected. I knew I was playing the game, but the feedback from using the abilities was lacking, especially in Bellica's auto attack and Q, there is a huge delay on those. Those felt really bad as you're forced to use those about a quarter of a second before you actually want the damage. Keeping on the subject of heroes though, I feel like all the DPS that I tried were overtuned, though this could be because you get all the abilities at level 1 bar the ultimates. I don't really think at level 1 I should be able to nearly half HP someone in a single combo. They are marketing this as a MOBA, but it feels at this point more like a brawler or a really simple fighting game in terms of the early game strategy. Which in my few games, my strategy was apply forehead to keyboard and win lane because, well, it works. Either the early game scaling of the damage abilities needs tuning, or don't give them all abilities at level 1. Some heroes are super strong early by default, and some are weak. It will just create a really bad meta where everyone will want to play damage because damage is king, like it has already shown in the beta. Now moving on to something people may or may not care about, sound design. Now in Paragon and predecessor there is ambient noise. In Overprime however, other than the ability sound effects of footsteps and the sound of the announcer, there's no real change in the ambient sound, it's just the same noises on a loop. Here is a 10-second clip, unedited, with no music.
An allied tower is under attack.
Now imagine that for the majority of a 40-minute game. It gets very boring, and if I wasn't recording for footage, I'd have probably just put music on. Now for comparison, in predecessor you can hear the waterfall and the river water rushing, you can hear the birds tweeting away, ambient jungle noise, even the core and the inhibs make some sort of noise. I don't know if the Overprime devs have a sound designer, but seriously, the game needs some sound as the game just sounds dead. Another thing I'm unsure if the Overprime devs have is someone doing QA on the UI, because the choices for the text and the translations of text is pretty bad. The font choice is terrible and hard to read in some instances because of text spacing. It often uses white on white, grey on grey, or blue on blue for no reason, making it really hard to read. There are also mistranslations or just pure nonsensibilities and terrible names. Yes, I do mean Scott, and let's not forget Kalari's ultimate, I will be evil. The text and translation of key parts of the game are very important. This was meant to be a beta, and at this point all of this should have been done in alpha. Otherwise you're inviting new players to try a game they won't know how to play. Or even worse, they won't actually be able to read how to play because you made the item descriptions grey on grey. It might seem a bit picky, but considering how complex some abilities can be, if you can't actually tell what it's going to do, it's already failed in getting new players to stay most likely. I find it really weird that they made the UI look really nice and then ruined it with this choice of font and colours. I can guarantee you could hire almost anybody to redo the text and an untrained person would probably do a better job. It'll sound harsh for me to say it, but I feel this was more a closed alpha than a beta. There are so many things that should have been fixed long before now. People have been hyping up Overprime for years, saying that it will rival Predecessor and be better than Paragon, and I didn't really look into it much. I only applied to play it because I thought, what's the harm in trying it? Honestly, I don't know how people have been playing this in its previous versions and thinking, yes, this is what I want from a MOBA, because it feels really disconnected from what it describes itself as, and how they've tried to make it look in the trailers. A really short fight, and then a solid 15 to 30 seconds rushing to hit a tower, to then have the same guy I just killed come back and I barely got to punish the death because of the game design. But then think of doing that for around 40 minutes or more. That mixed with the map sizing, travel mode, clunky feeling heroes, lack of ambience, and horrible, hard to read text, it makes me think they really need to polish it if they want to do another beta. As of right now, I think more people will just be put off than want to come back. I played around 6 to 7 games and couldn't force myself to try anymore. As you just expect to be sat there for another 40 plus minutes again, even if you kill your laner so hard they quit the game. I really hope we get some Predecessor news in the coming months, as right now I'm feeling like a layer holotape. So fingers crossed. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the closed beta in the comments. I know from the discussions I've read so far, people have wildly varying opinions on it. As usual, if you want my social didgeridoos, they will be in the pinned comment and description, and with that I will see you for the next video.